Hey, what's up guys, it's T-Bone here and welcome back to another episode of playing Legendary Game of Heroes. This is actually the part 2 of the video where I'm going to talk about the upcoming event, and we're going to do a deck preview, and we're going to talk also about the new mechanic that's coming out for this deck and also the new boss type that they're introducing. So let's jump right into this here. And if you missed the first part of this video, I talk about the legend trial boss and how you can use an effective deck and a budget-friendly deck to take it down. So if you missed it, I have the link down below in the descriptions so you can take a look as well. Now let's take a look here at the event deck. So the thing is, there's a new mechanic that's coming out that's associated with this deck. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail in this episode because it's going to be hard to wrap our heads around just how to use it effectively. Instead, I'm going to focus on the gameplay in the next episode where we can really break it down and sort of see how it all works out. But what I want to do is talk about, at a high level, what the changes are like and what it means and what we should expect from it. So here we can see that this is actually a creature type card. The event card is called Armored Tank Oryx. And it's just, basically it's a rhinoceros beetle. And so you can take a look here. The leadership skills, what you expect, 400% damage and health for all earth creature heroes. So now, being a creature deck, there is already creature, events in the past. So there's relics that are available. And, one of the most recent creature event was the Fire Thula event. So you should have that relic available as well. So you can use them to power up the cards. The battle skill here, it creates 3 Earth Power Gem 4s with a 9 gem charge rate and a 6 turn cooldown. Now we've seen before Haroon the Shrewd is another Earth hero, a event card that can actually create power gems that's boosted by intensity, and it has a lower turn cooldown. But there is actually another mechanic that you'll see here where this comes to play, and we can see here's a quick attack. Whenever a reset skill is used, okay, so this is the new skill, reset skill is used, increase creature heroes attack by 55%, plus 3% per 20 creature intensity, rounded down, and this stacks with itself. So we've seen the previous episode where by having a card that will actually increase your attack that's boosted by intensity, that's really where you're going to deal a lot of damage, and this is where this is going, okay? And so we can talk about, additional cards that are going to sort of make this whole team work. Next, we'll talk about the event card here, the support card, Testera the Blade Sister. So what she does is she'll increase creature intensity by 10 and create 5 Earth Gems. Also heals for 5%. So it's good, but it's weaker than, like, for example, Guru Pachyscept, right, which is also an Earth card that will create gems based on intensity, and it also heals. So it's a weaker version of the deck, and it has a much higher charge rate, again, 16 gems before you can use it. And so we have sort of 2 cards that are a little bit weaker than the counterparts that we've seen. And so I think let's now go and take a look at the Ultra Rare and the Master Collection card to really see how this all ties in together. So Razor Nymph is the Ultra Rare. Her battle skill will reset the cooldown of 2 Oryxes or Testera and decrease damage taken by 15%. So you can see here the Ultra Rare card actually is more of the true support card in this case. It resets the cooldown. Well, what does that mean? So cooldown, you can see here, for example, Razor Nymph has a cooldown of 3 turns. So typically what would happen before this, you would play, your battle skills, you play your cards, use the battle skill, and you have to wait that many turns no matter what. And what this does is it resets it, erases it completely as if you've never used that battle skill. So the cooldown effectively is, not present. You can use it right away. But the problem here is if you just reset the cooldown after you've used the skill, it doesn't actually fill it up. And that's where the Master Collection card comes in. So Hootie will actually reset the cooldown of every card and also increase all of the battle skill charges by 1% for every intensity. So basically, if you can get your intensity up to 100, you can actually, fill up the gauge and then fill up everybody and so forth. So think of the Ultra Rare card and the Master Collection card as the ones that will allow you to activate your battle skill more than once every turn. well, not every turn, but per turn. And so combine that, so if you can use the skill multiple times, well, now you can create your power gems multiple times. And now you can actually create your, your additional gems multiple times to fill out the board. And so including, in addition to that, you also have a power boost every single time. And so I think on the surface, it may look like it's not a great skill to have, but really, if you use it the right way, I think this could be a very powerful deck. But it remains to be seen because this is new. I'm just speculating at this point. So we still need to wait until the cards come out before we can really try it. Unfortunately, though, the challenge is going to be the fact that you have 2 ultra rare cards as the collection hero. But it's not a bad thing, because Jade Protector is a really good card. Like, anytime you can get an intensity-based ultra rare card, I would say it's a good thing. And same thing with Minerva. Minera's Prodigy, again, it's a intensity-based ultra rare, and it's a Earth Gem Destroyer. And so I think that, it's actually, not bad. It's going to be hard to collect everything for the Master Card collection. And this is one of those decks where the Master Card collection is the true MVP. You really need that card to power everything. And so, something to consider, having these cards. I don't expect many of us to have them. And so it could be costly if you want to go into the decks to chase after them, because you're going to get one from the free card and you'll still need to get another one from the pack. So we'll see. I hope I get lucky. If I open a couple of packs, I'll see if I get one, and then I hope for the collection for the other. We'll see what happens there. Now, along with this change too, so in addition to the change to the mechanic there's also a new boss type that's coming out. And the boss you can see in the news feed is called a chromatic boss. And basically a chromatic boss, what that does is it prevents you from bringing in a team such as this one. Because if I bring in an all dark team, what will happen is 4 of them will be disabled. I can't use the active or the passive skills. Nothing happens. And so I'm left with just 1 card. Well, what happens if I bring in a card that has multiple affinity? Well, that's okay, because you're allowed basically 1 affinity at most for your team. And that means if you bring a single card from every single affinity, then you don't have that problem. Well, but then if that's the case, then what happens when you bring in cards with different affinities? How does that work? Like, how do you fight against a boss without using all of the same cards? Well, it kind of goes back to the good old days when we used to have to use what we call rainbow decks that uses all the different affinities, because they were bosses that the cards that gave you, additional boost for class specific cards instead of color based cards. Whereas nowadays, all of your event cards are things that will boost 300% health and damage for something like fire creature heroes, or in this case, it will be earth creature heroes. Well, Heavenly Venus will actually boost 300% damage for all god heroes. She's an older card, and it's really hard to evolve, so I wouldn't expect you to be able to use that. But there are a lot of other cards, like there's a lot of wardens, for example, that would boost 200% damage for all of the cards of a specific type that can be used. And I think whatever the options you go with, you'll see I have two different setup here where they basically are the cards that deal that boost 300% damage. And the Fable one, because I already have the Light Fable and the Water Fable Halloween type decks, I'm using those as the main damage dealer with all Fable relics. And then the Venus one, it's all God deck. And again, I'm using Power Gem using a Power Gem creator from Golden Guardian, and then Empyrean Bella. I also have Summertime Aphrodite as a gem spawner as well, and then Guru Pachyscept to create the Power Gems to override all of the the green gems to override all of the Power Gems and deal damage. And because it is a commander card as well, I'll be able to get some bonus damage. Plus, it's an Earth card, so I'll be able to deal some additional damage against the boss there. At least that's the hope. I don't know yet what the chromatic boss's debuff is going to be like, but we'll see what happens. I think in the end, what you might want to focus on is just having a leader card that you can really use. If you can't find a card that or a team that works well, I think something like, having a leader card that you can use by itself, but have the other affinity cards do things like passive heal or gen spawn, that might help. Like that's sort of like the general guidance I would say to go with is look for a card that can create at least one or more power gems, and look for a card that can give you heal, and look for a card that can give you gem creation. And sometimes it might also be helpful to get a turn delay card like Vanguard Contessa, right? So it depends on the situation, but I think this is now opening up the door to allow you to use any deck and see what comes of it. And so there is also another card I would want to show you before I sign off here. So if you look at the dark, there would be a goblin card. If you have Gargalang, this is the card you probably didn't pay attention of its leader's skill a lot, but Gargalang will actually boost the ancient heroes, give 300% recovery, 200% attack, and health. So there's not a lot of other cards that does this except for the current event cards, but no card that would actually boost just class specific cards that's not affinity based. So this would be a good leader. It's too bad that it's not a commander, but you can use this and then bring other ancient cards in to deal some damage there. So that's an idea that you can that I'm running with, but this is the same sort of concept here, right? I think that there's a lot of room for opportunity for teams there. So I'm looking forward to hearing what team you're running with and seeing what you come up with. And we can also look for ways in tomorrow's episode once the event starts, and seeing how we can tie the current event deck with this type of boss, the chromatic boss, and see how successful we can be with it. So that's it for today's episode. In my opinion, I think that the deck can be powerful. Like I said, it looks probably weaker than it really is. I just don't have all the mechanics figured out yet to really say for sure, but I'm looking forward to giving it a try. So I will, looking forward to the event starting. I'll give it a try, and then we will see what happens there. So thank you very much for listening. Take care, and I'll see you in the next episode.